My name is Dick Stewart. I was first connected to the fair in 1969 when I had first arrived in Eugene area from Wisconsin. I brought a bicycle to the first fair, rode up Hawkins Heights Road up to a big, it was like a pasture with a bowl and a little collection of booths and a little geodesic dome which a group of us picked up and carried around the area. It lasted one day. That was the 1969 fair. It was put on. Bill and Cindy Wooten were the people involved with that. Yeah. Then I went to the fair over on the, what is it, Coyote Creek? Crow Road. It was off Crow Road. It was a long strip of land with a little creek that flowed through it. And the line of booths followed this like a little, almost like a pasture road. It was very nice, very mellow. I think that lasted maybe 2 days. I'm not sure. Then we came here. I was living in a commune that was called the Church of the Creative outside of Cresswell. And we brought over a pretty good sized contingent of people, and I had a big teepee, which I just recently finished constructing, sewn together by hand, well, with a treadle sewing machine. And we took it in here and we set up, and there were 2 other teepees from the family of the Mystic Arts down south of here in southern Oregon. Yeah, it was fun. Ken Kesey dropped by that evening telling stories. There was a crowd in that 18-foot teepee. That happened a long time ago. That was back in the early 70s. Yeah, and then for a few years I went away from here. I went to Northern California and helped run a yoga ashram. It was associated with Yogi Bhajan. I'd taken teacher training down in New Mexico, and I came up to Oregon again and started working. I was also co-director of the Kundalini Yoga Ashram in the area around Stanford. We taught classes at Stanford University in the old women's gymnasium. What a beautiful, beautiful building. Yeah. Yeah. Then later on, I heard about the fairs. It was Garbage Crew. My neighbor out there at the church, Ernie Lewis, was one of the early Garbage Crew folk. And he and his partners that ran the Phoenix Garage in Springfield owned an old red dump truck. And with that old red dump truck, we'd haul all the refuse from the fair out to what they call the Franklin landfill. And we took it all out there in barrels and pushed it off the side of the flatbed. And once in a while, one would get away, and they'd have to go down in there. That was good times. We had people would leave old rugs, and we'd take these old rugs and flop them over the top of the load, and the people would lay on top of the rugs, rolling down Territorial up to Franklin. It was a whole, a parade of old funky trucks which may or may not make it to the dump. And on a Sunday morning, we had to go there. The attendant wasn't there, so we had to search for the key to unlock the gate. And all these trucks were waiting to get into the dump and go up the hill, and yeah. Later on, I was co-coordinator with various folks who'd come up, about the same time I had. With a man named Gary Heron. I was co-coordinator with Gary. Robert Painter, who you've already recognized and interviewed. We were co-coordinators for a while. I took his place when he was away for a while. And that's when I first got in the coordination game. I used to run this whole outfit out of my wallet. Anything we needed, I could, because it was small. Our crew was small, 20, maybe 25 people. And we'd all come in here in school buses and vans and stuff, and we camped over across Indian Creek on the south side there, right in front of where Dana is. Yeah, Dana's. That little depression in front of Dana's is where our old fire pit was. Yeah. Yeah, it was a different deal in those days. Bringing in heavy equipment into the fair, we started with an old compactor which was very unreliable, and we had to deal with a gentleman who was also very unreliable. He was hard to get along with, but he was economically reasonable for us to work with. But now we work with Scott and Royal Refuse, and Scott is a gentleman, and he brings in very heavy equipment. His best compactors, they can go through the fair. We have complete perimeter control around where they're operating, because it gets pretty dangerous, right? Where big bins are being lifted up over the top and stuff is shaking around. But generally speaking, we've been very lucky with our heavy equipment and not running over any children's feet or anything like that. Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. And that was good. We talked for quite a few years of how we were going to deal with the compost. And at one time we took it and layered it and left it out for a few years with pipes in it. And we thought, well, that'll help warm it up, the circulation. The pipes had holes in them and stuff. Well, it was a great place for the hornets to nest. And when folks came to harvest their compost, they first had to route the hornets from the tubes that were going all through it. So we learned, and I think we're doing really well now with our compost. We're turning out really high grade. I told my wife Norma, I said, maybe a ton, maybe a ton and a half. I'm not sure. It's hard to say. It's loose. It's kind of loose, fluffy. If you look at it up at the Howe Barn, and that was last year. Yeah. So it was okay. Let me think. Any other big changes? Well, I'm sitting up here on the recycling dock right now, and I'm looking out toward where this almost unending stream of local buses come and go. And I think back to when our transportation systems were much more rudimentary. And working this out with the Lane County, with Lane Transit District, these things helped to raise this event into a world class. We're setting standards by the way that we're using our facilities. The things we bring on the site, we're able to utilize them to their highest capabilities. Like we brought in high lift equipment to erect a new dance pavilion. That whole new area is a wonder. They've done some incredible transformation of what used to be the crafts lot. And now it's a home for a lot of the booths that were endangered by the river. Yeah. Yeah, it's a big change. Everybody was hoping that they'd all come in there and make sure that the vendors felt it was worthwhile for them to have left their old locations for this new site. I know they worked real hard to make it as commodious as they could. I know they had that thing for a while where people were gathering together, but I never really took part in that. But the fair's going to cap. It's not going to grow indefinitely, although 2 fairs. The public fair is sort of capped off. Our fair, the fair of the volunteers, the fair of the staff, the fair of the vendors is going to continue to grow. And I don't know whether fair family is more fecund than the general public, but we see a lot of children. And I always tell people, the children are the hope of the fair. That the way we conduct ourselves here, that the way we provide a role model on the fair itself is what's going to determine our fair. When we grow even older than I am, the kind of atmosphere, we're going to have to accept changes. The kids are listening to hip hop. No, man, no, it's not hip hop. What do you call the music now?
Rap.
Rap? Okay, they have rap here at the fair, right? They have like youth stage. It's a youth stage. They have rappers there.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. See, and I think they had rappers at main stage. I think I heard, maybe more like Jamaican rappers. Yeah, almost like, toasters maybe, for sure. I thought the Eugene-Veneta corridor is going to grow and grow and grow. And West 11th, it's someday going to be a 4-laner. But it would sure be nice if instead it became an alternative transportation route. We got a railroad track. Why couldn't we run little interurbans back and forth between Eugene and Veneta? And the train goes right by. A train with passengers could come right out here and have a little side spur. They could pull in, there'd be a station, and they could get off the train and come into the fair. And the fair would start to become a more yearly thing, stretched out longer. We have the summer. We own the summer, but the spring and the fall and the winter, there are changes there. Wintertime, floods. It's all kayaks and sailboats. The spring, it's like thinking about what we're going to do to make the fair better. In the fall, we're thinking about how it went and how we can do better next year. Maybe having an extension out here would be a little too much, but at least Veneta's growing. fact, one of the fastest growing small cities in the county. We do a lot with local communities. We have a real hand-in-glove relationship with Veneta, especially knowing the mayor so well. You know, it was really good to establish that. And I think a number of people who work on crews live in the Veneta area, Veneta, Elmira. You know, the fair is it's like a dream that we all had back in the 60s, and somehow we made it happen and made it real. And all these people, all these hundreds, if not thousands of people who share a vision can come together and create this thing is a wonder to behold. It truly is. And working with them is the greatest gift that I receive every year. And sometimes, back when I was a coordinator, I thought to myself, oh boy, it's going to be another week of really intense work in the head and the hands and the heart. But I knew that I would be better for doing it, and I came out here and immediately felt the energy. There is nowhere else I have ever been in the world that has this kind of energy field around it that continually lifts one up. Whether it's just a chance encounter on a path or a possible fair goer who sees me out picking up a cigarette butt and says, hey, thanks, man. The fair is the blessing of my life. It's a blessing of my wife, who I would not have met if I hadn't been connected with the fair, because we met through fair-related activities. So yeah. In a lot of ways, you get to a point where the fair and your personal life sort of meld. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a more trying circumstance, but it is what it is. And I live with that, and it's fine. I'm a happy, blessed man.